Thanks for joining for the second part of this podcast with Matthew Edgar. If you haven't seen the first part, please go back and watch it, and hope you enjoy this second part. I just want to say again, I'm sorry for the audio of this podcast. I've got a new microphone and I didn't know how to use it properly. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll catch you later on.
To me, and the advice I'll give anybody is never play darts in an environment that you spend the majority of time watching other people play. And if you think about like what a local league is 5 to 7 matches, of which you'll play one game best of 3. Now, if you're a decent player, you're going to go out win 2-0 and it'll be over in 5-10 minutes, but you're out for 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. So in those 3 or 4 hours, I'm watching other people play rather than playing myself. My development's going to be stumped and I'm not going to be making that growth. And it's the same for county. You know what, we got 12 players in a county team and you play one match best of 7 and you're there all day for that one best of 7. So it doesn't suit. So I was like, look, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to play. There's only one place I want to play, and that's the PDC. Yeah. However, couldn't afford it. We had children at a young age. So I was a father to 4 children in my early 20s and starting off a career in, coaching at the time, which led to teaching. And, when you're just starting out, you can't command the high fees. You can't say, I'm not doing that unless I get this. It's like, oh, do you want to do this job? It's 20 quid. And you're like, got to do it. So we didn't have a lot of money at the time. So I sold things like my PlayStation, things that I thought, these are luxury items that I don't need and I want to take a punt on myself. So sold all these items, raised in the end about £320. So I could enter, because Pro Tours at the time was £105. I had a friend, Jeff Farris from local league, who said, look, Matt, I'll drive you to these tournaments. I said, brilliant. So that he helped me out with that. So I entered 3 tournaments. First tournament, drew Michael Van Gerwen, lost 6-0.
Perfect. Good start. Just what you need.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming. Next tournament, I drew a guy from Wales called Steve Evans, lost 6-0. So I'm £210 in from luxury items. I've not won a leg. This is going to be a short-lived story, I'm thinking. Get to the next one, the last one. It was a 2-day event in Crawley. I could only afford to play 1 day. So I went down, played the first day, drew Andy Smith, the Pie Man, top 32 player, seeded player. Brilliant. Here we go again. 5 all, take out a 1-3-2 finish, win the match 6-5. £200. Lost the next game, and I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head. I think is it Michael Rossinia, okay. Germany lad from Germany. Lost 6-5. Didn't care. I've got 200 quid. I can go to the next one. The next one was a UK Open qualifier. Day 1, won against Stompy. Yeah. Got me 200 quid again. Then lost to Dennis Smith. Next day, and in them days, it was only the top 96 plus ties. They said, Matt, you need to win 1 game and you win the UK Open. And I'm like, fantastic. Drew Michael Van Gerwen again. Brilliant. Thanks for that. 1-6-5.
Nice.
Beat him 6-5. Nice. So got me 200 quid, got me in the UK Open, got me a win over Van Gerwen, and then I lost to Mark Webster the next game. So I'm like, right, well, I've got 400 quid. So regardless of this, I can afford to go to some more tournaments, and I've got a free crack here at the UK Open. Went to the UK Open, got through so I won my first round, and the second, that was on the Thursday night at the old Reebok Stadium in Bolton, 2011. Got those 2 wins. Got me through to the next day. Next day, won again. Got me through to the next day. Problem was, like I said, I hadn't been paid the £400 yet. So I didn't have any money to pay for a hotel. So I had to borrow money to play for the hotel so I could play the next day of the UK Open. And that's how it was at the time. And then I lost to Andy Bolton in the end, in the 4th round of the UK Open. It got me £2,000. Yeah. So when I got the pay through, I had £2,400. So I opened up a separate bank account. And I says, right, that's going in there, and I'm just going to use that for playing darts. And when it's gone, it's gone. And if I win, it'll keep me going. And I had an 11-year career off the back of those wins. And if you date it all the way back to that 1-3-2 finish against Andy Smith, had I missed that, I would never have played again because I wouldn't have been able to afford to have. So it's some journey when you look at it that way. And that's why sometimes I don't know if annoyed's the right word, but I feel frustrated sometimes when people get hold of me and they're like, I'll tell you one message I got. It goes, how can I get sponsorship? And how can I get time off work where I don't have to use my holiday? I'm like, you're barking up the wrong tree here, because there's got to be an element of sacrifice and commitment in you put into yourself. And I think sometimes, because of how publicized darts is nowadays, I think some people sort of expect a little bit. I'm a good player, it should all come to me and things. Whereas I think with that story, you can see there's a lot of risk and sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely. You find that a lot with any of the players that I've spoke to that have played on the tour and on the circuit, that they all have had to do something somewhere down the line to make that jump and go. And it's well documented about Nathan Aspinall, where how he was doing. He was really struggling, and he had to go back and work for a short time for his, I think it was his dad's friend or someone. He had to go back to work for a short time, and then he luckily put the work in, obviously, and got to where he is now. But he still had to take a big jump and a big risk. And I think, unfortunately, the way darts is, you'll know this more than I do, obviously, because you've been there, but the lower end of the darts, it's hard to make any money. And then the top end is obviously, if you're the top player, you're making a living. But there's only so many players in the world that are making good money from darts. And there's a big step now from even local darts to county darts, and county darts to professional darts, and there's big jumps all the way up, and you can see that. And there's so many good players around, young kids coming through that are phenomenal players, and darts obviously growing this year especially, so it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and become even harder and harder to get there. Not to say you can't do it, because someone's got to get there, but it's weighing up that risk and backing yourself, and that's what you've got to do, which you did, and for you it's paid off, and what a story it is.
Yeah, it's one of those, and for every one of those stories, like I can tell you where mine paid off for me and gave me what I wanted. When this is probably one of the things I get frustrated with, in a way, when people sort of try and live through you.
Yeah.
In a way. Now, because for me, and granted, maybe it wasn't the most ambitious in the world, but I didn't grow up wanting to be world champion. I grew up wanting to be a professional dart player.
Yeah.
And I was. And I got what I wanted. And I lived that life. And I enjoyed that life. And I lived my dream. But then when you're doing that, one of the worst things, is, oh, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. That should be this. This should be that. You should try this. And it's like, but I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to force your dreams onto me? Because you want to aim higher than that. You go do it. Go do what you want to do. You don't have to do that. And even now, I've suffered a lot with injury. And for me, darts is so secondary now in terms of playing. I enjoy a game. I'm looking forward to playing Lakeside later on this year. That's going to be a bucket list location and a bit of a dream as well. So I'm looking forward to, but then you still get people, like when you do your vlogs, you're moving your shoulder a little bit. It's like, I've got nerve damage in my arm. I'm lucky to be even play darts. The fact I can throw a 90 average, I think is absolutely incredible, and I love it. And like, oh, your average dropped off after that game. It's like, I've got nerve damage.
Yeah.
Does it really matter that it dropped off?
That's the other thing. People see you're a professional darts player and they expect you to average 90, 100 every single time you play. It's not. It's never going to happen. Even the top players, they'll have a few bad days and a few bits of it. That's sport in general, not just darts. That's how sport works. And obviously, to get to that top level, you've obviously got to be a higher end of it, but you're still going to have bad days. That's just part and parcel of it. I'm going to actually
absolutely fine motor skill over a very small target size.
Yeah. It's a lot harder. And that's the thing. I think people's perception is very much skewed, because when you watch darts on TV, Premier League, for example, you're watching the best players in the world, and they are ridiculous, like phenomenal at it. And because they're all so good and it all looks so easy, people think, everyone's doing this. You can hit 180 every other throw, it's fine. But realistically, anyone that plays darts, and even at a pub level, will know it's not an easy game. It's a hard game to play.
I think one of the things with darts, though, is like the levels aren't very well publicized in regards to like getting through different systems, because I've seen people like certainly when I'm working at the Super Series, and you'll see someone go, oh, this is pub darts, they're playing terrible, and they're averaging like 85. And I'm like, 85 is a very good standard. And like, people don't realize what pub level is, because again, I get asked quite a lot of the time, like, "Oh, I'm averaging like 65 at home. How much better do I need to go pub?" I'm like, "You'll probably win every game averaging
Absolutely.
65 at a
Yeah.
pub league. You know, pub league's sort of like 45 to 55. If you can hit 60 every throw, you're probably going to win most of your matches." And you know, that's just straight darts. And people don't realize like the level between, because like you say, they only see the very, very top end. So all you ever expect is people to be 95 to 100.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
it's not realistic. Yeah.
If you've been there yourself, then I'm exactly like you say. I play pub darts and that sort of thing. And this year I played like the ADC, and obviously, as you know, the ADC will eventually lead into the modus if you win all the events and win the order merit and that sort of thing. But the level from pub darts, then I went to play the ADC. I think I'll be alright. Not even close. Like I wasn't even close. Like I was getting battered the first one I went to, it took me 2 weeks to win a game. Only first to 2, and I was averaging mid to high 50s. Not any good, but I was playing players averaging 70, 80, sometimes 90. I had a short format first to 2, and then you see these players, and well, these are good players. And then they will play another player and they're coming nowhere in the grand scheme of the ADC, let alone the top end of it, and then to qualify for the modus, then do it on the modus, and the levels are it's huge, and I don't think people understand that, which is massive.
And people, levels, they don't get it, because my missus has just started playing local league darts, and there's a few decent players in there, but again, when you understand the levels and you know the differences between levels, and you go in there, and like I went to watch her play a few weeks back, and there's always someone in there. "Oh, he'd beat you, he would." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, he would. Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he? Yeah, he's really good." And then I was like, yeah, I can see. Does he play county? You know, things like that. Yeah, I can see he's a decent player. And they're like, "Oh, he'd beat you in the first to 10." I'm like, "Okay, if we're gonna have this conversation, can we put $1,000 on it?"
Yeah.
And let's make this happen, sort of thing. You know, let's see if we can. But then all of a sudden, they don't want to know as much at that point. But yeah, there's maybe that also comes down to the fact of there's just no public, like no one streams their county matches. No one streams Super League, so people don't get the opportunity to see what that standard is like. I know we've got Jack, the darts referee at the moment, has now just made a darts team, hasn't he? So that'll probably be a good thing in regards to people being able to see what the standard's like at grassroots introductory level. And yeah, maybe it'd be nice to see some more content created around what them levels actually are like.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's almost my USP on sort of TikTok and or YouTube, because I won't say pride myself, there's nothing proud about, but I call myself the most average player. So I'm an average pub player, and I think it's almost more relatable, because you watch on TV, like you say, you see the 180s flying in, but the normal person like me who's not that good, it's not something that happens, and people don't understand that, and it's something that needs to be out there more. And I think even now with the standard of darts, even when you watch on YouTube, you're watching like the junior series on YouTube, the PDC junior stuff, and even them lads, they're ridiculously good. They're 12, 13 years old, throwing 75 averages, 80 averages, and over 4 or 5 legs, and it's phenomenal to watch. And even watching that, you're thinking, geez, these kids are good. But the thing is, they're in the top 10% or whatever of players, and every other player down the pub will be happy to win a leg in 30 darts, and that's how darts is.
And that's where, like you say, content creators like yourself, and there's loads out there. Charlie Murphy, another one as well, and players that are sort of to the level of a sort of a decent pub standard player, and it becomes very relatable as well. Like you said, because a lot of people look at it and they go, "Oh, that's me," or "That's what I would like to be," or "If I had confidence to go out there and play, I could be that." And it's sort of inspiring to that journey as well. And I think what would really blow up in the world at the moment is because at the moment we've got people at different ends of the spectrum. So it's like when I was doing the Pro Tour and now I'm doing the WDF and things and trying to get to Lakeside as part of my journey, it's like, to some people it's fun to watch, but it's not relatable because they go, "I'm not going to be that guy." So I'm still watching something that I'm not going to go do. I'm not going to play on the Pro Tour. So it's nice to see what it's like, but I'm not going to be there. What would be really good is having the story of a player who you get to see them go through the system.
Yeah,
This is a player that is really, really good. His quality's in his pub, but actually he's not got the funds to go out there and to do it yet. And then actually we're bought into this journey. So actually we're going to do a bit of a GoFundMe sort of setup, and we're going to support this player. And look, now he's playing in his county team. Oh, let's get him in the ADC. Oh, now he's in the Super Series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, should we get him to Q School? And that sort of journey where you get to watch and live with that person, I think that is the next thing that will blow up.
Yeah.
And it's just that player's out there somewhere. That player who can go to Q School and get the tour card, but is sat in their local league somewhere. And the day I find him, I think there's such a great content there of going, this is the journey, let's go on it with this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've personally just started a series on my YouTube where it's sort of halfway what you explained there. So, like I say, I'm average player, and I've started a sort of a quest to Q School sort of journey where I'm documenting me going from a pub player to hopefully being good enough. I know anyone can go to Q School, but hopefully being good enough to be able to go there and just compete, just maybe nick a few legs, win a game here and there, and that sort of thing. But my thing there is, I know I won't be good enough to get a tour card. No, I won't be good enough to become a professional darts player. But it's that starting from a 50 average, 45 average player, becoming good enough to hopefully average, 70s, just to win a few games and that sort of thing. And to be fair, on my channel, it's probably done the best that all my videos so far, because it's more relatable, and there's people saying I'm doing the same thing as you. I want to go for a pub player to be a good player. So I've got two more questions. We're aiming for 20 minutes. We're doing nearly 40 minutes already, but we'll go for it.
I have this problem all the time. I sit down with Phil Bars and do these, and he's like, right. And then we end up having to change the batteries and the thing, and we always go an hour or two.
So, first question is purely just for me. For my series, I'll explain the Quest to Q School. Any advice you would give me on my Quest to Q School? If you give me 3 bits of advice, what would you say?
First one's when you get to Q School. We'll start there and we'll work backwards.
Okay, yeah.
First one I always say is remember the reason you're going to Q School.
Yeah.
The reason you ever walk through the doors at Q School is to get a tour card.
Yeah.
And most of the time what we'll do is we'll aim lower and we'll go, like I say, I want to get some legs, I want to get some points. But they only give points to losers.
Yeah.
So if you're going in there thinking of points, you're going in there already expecting to lose. So I don't think you should ever expect lose. Don't matter what you do. If I go into a fight with Conor McGregor, should I go in there thinking he's going to beat me, see how long I can last? No, I'm going to go in there, give it everything I've got, and then eventually I'm going to lose, but I shouldn't go in there thinking I'm going to. So the next thing is imagine what you're going to experience and what you're going to feel at Q School, which is probably going to be a lot of the time that fine line between excitement and nerves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of the time we go on the side of nerves. So essentially, when you're playing, you're going to be playing with stress and duress. So you're going to be playing with tension. You're going to be playing with nerves. You're going to be playing with doubt. And you've got a chance to practice that. And the chance to practice that and play with that more regularly. Now, you probably heard a lot of people say, I play really well in practice and play terrible in a game. The difference between that is emotional attachment. So when you play a match, you play emotionally, because every single time you throw a dart, it means something. A single 20, a treble 20, I'm throwing a double to win a leg. I win it, I lose it based on this one dart hitting. I hit a 1, I hit everything you throw at has an instant number reaction, which gives you an emotional reaction. Now, you've got to practice with that. You've got to get used to that. So let's say, for example, you went, right, I'm going to practice today. And what I'm going to do is I've missed double 16 loads recently. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw 100 darts at double 16. Not relatable, because it doesn't have that pressure. It doesn't have that meaning. It doesn't have that purpose. And a lot of the practice drills, and I'll tell you now, I have not come across one single resource or channel yet that I've watched their practice routines and gone, you understand what you're talking about, because they all miss that emotional and psychological attachment to the practice, and they all miss on progression. So essentially, you've got time. What we got was 6 months until Q School. The last thing is progression. You go to the gym and you go, right, I'm going to curl 10 kilos today. And in 6 months' time, you're still curling 10 kilos, you're doing something wrong because you're not having that progressive overload. Same thing with this. If you go, right, I'm going to play Bob's 27 today, and then in 6 months' time, I'm going to play Bob's 27 today. And all you're going to do is your way of seeing if you made progress is go, right, I'm going to take a score. I've scored 300. Now I'm going to try and beat 300. Now, that's not progressive. Because what you'll do is you'll go, my personal best is 300. I need to beat that. And all you're ever going to do is try and be the best version of yourself that's ever existed on every individual day. Now, by trying to achieve that, all you're doing is you're pressurizing, you're not progressing. Because you're going, I need to be the best. Now, if you think about the best version of yourself, how many times are you going to beat your very, very best in a 365-day year if you do it every single day? We're talking 4 or 5 times a year at most. And that will reduce the higher the score goes. So by doing that, you think you're failing. I can't beat that top score. I can't get there. I got there before. Why can't I get there again? And all you remember is top score. You might go 300, then like 290, 270, 280, which are good scores, but I'm not beating my best score, so I'm failing. And you practice with failure. So by practicing with failure and without progression, when you get to that situation, you've got no confidence to grow on. You've got no confidence to go on. So you get that lack of confidence when you're playing. You don't go excited, you go nerves. And that's when you start considering things like, oh, maybe I am going to lose, or maybe I am only going here to nick a few legs, because the only thing you've got at the moment to monitor that progression is, has my average gone up or has it not?
Yeah.
So is there ways in which we can have progressive practice? Absolutely. So one I always go to is around the board. Great example. So you go around the board. One of the games most people pick up when they first start playing darts, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then once you can go around the board, we go, right, okay, I can do that. I'm going to do it on the doubles. What a ridiculous jump of progression to go from going around on the singles, which is a massive segment, to this tiny little double. What a ridiculous level of progression. So can we have progression before we get to there, increasing in levels, increasing in pressure, increasing in intensity, that will allow me to develop and grow as a player at a rate that is actually sustainable, and a rate that is I'm going so deep here now, aren't I?
I love it.
A rate that is mastery learning style. So I used to be a teacher, so yeah. Before this, I used to teach, and then I used to teach teachers how to teach.
Okay.
So it's sort of, I can go on about this for hours. It's really my element. I love it. So, but yeah, mastery and fluency. So fluency is doing the same thing repetitively in open to reversibility, basically. So mastery is a deep understanding of task. Another great example I had of this was when I went out on a bike ride after COVID. I went out on a bike ride with my son. And when I used to ride to school, and I used to ride my bike every single day, and I had fluency, I used to have a can of Coke in my hand. A lot of the time, I'd have my breakfast in my other hand, and I'd go downhill without even holding the handlebars, because I'd ride my bike every single day. Now, it doesn't mean I can't ride a bike now, because when I went on the bike ride with my son after lockdown, I could ride the bike, but I rode it slower. I went round corners steady. Like, I weren't tipping the bike over when I was going. I went round it upright. I was braking going down hills. I weren't free rolling down. And I felt a bit more uneasy. Now, I could still do it because I had that mastery, but the fluency element had gone. This is the same thing like if you go on holiday and you go on holiday for 2 weeks, you come back, you start throwing again. You can still throw, but you've lost that fluency, so you're not quite as good. With the sort of styles I talk about, and with that progression and that deep understanding of task, you'd be able to go away for a week or 2 weeks, come back, and it'd still be there because you've developed mastery, not fluency. And by focusing purely on the mastery side of things, that's how these 6 months you've now got are going to be useful. And like I say, you'll be able, the byproduct, doing the right things gets you to the 75 average. Focusing on the 75 average keeps you at the 55.
Yeah. Okay.
So do the things, have all those ingredients, get that sort of levels of progression in there, and then the average will just come as a byproduct of doing the right things.
Wow. That is
so quite a deep answer.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I mean, I did I've played sport at a high, not a professional level, but I used to play golf when I was younger. I played golf to a county level, pretty good level, and same sort of thing. It was you need to be doing things where you can almost. I practice and practice and practice, but without that element of pressure on you, same with your darts or your golf swing changes from pressure. So it's getting out and putting yourself in that pressure situation. Like you say, everyone can throw not everyone, but I can throw something average at home. Brilliant. We'll go and do it at the pub.
Yeah.
We'll go and do it down the ADC. We'll go and do it. And it's as soon as you get your arms a bit jittery and these things, and it drops off and I can't throw it. Exactly the same for me. First pub game, I threw to the board. It's horrendous, just horrible. But you get used to that, and then you progress to the next level of darts, the ADC or whatever, and then at county. And it's 100% agree. I did a full episode of this on YouTube. So I'm lucky. I'm glad you've said that. It backs up what I've gone over already on my video, but you've done it in more detail there than I ever did. So thanks for that. And
a lot of the time people just put it into exposure. So just go out and play more and do this sort of things. But you can actually expose yourself to it at home as well.
Yeah.
By having that practice. There's a drill I put on my YouTube channel. So I did like a 10-stage drill, which was just like it was a game basically. During lockdown, I gave 10 games. So it was like playing a computer game where it increases in levels throughout. Level 6 is the one where I always say that is what I mean in a drill. So how it works, you got to hit 10 bullseyes. And it doesn't tell you how many darts it takes you, you've got to hit 10 bullseyes. If you hit a 25, you protect your score.
Yeah.
If you hit a bullseye, you go up in 1. If you miss all 3 darts at the 25 and the bull, you've zeroed your score and you start again.
Okay.
That is what I'm talking. That is frustration, because you might get to 8, miss, and you go back to 0 again. That is, I've played a good leg of darts, I've missed 2 darts at a double, he's gone out, I go back to 501. So you've got to get used to playing with that discipline and that frustration. The other thing it does, I guarantee when you haven't completed that game and you get to 8 or 9 and you miss 2 darts, you've got 1 dart left in your hand. And you think, if I hit a 25, I keep the 8. If I hit a bull, I go up to 9 and I'm 1 away. If I miss this, I've lost and I start again. That will give you that emotional attachment the exact same way as when you're out playing in a match and in a game. Because I guarantee when you're getting close to beating it for the first time, you've been playing it for 3 weeks, and you've got that dart to save your skin, the heart will start going, the tension will start coming in. All those reactions that you get in the match, you'll get at home. You can replicate that feeling just stood at home. And then when you go out, you're used to it.
Yeah.
It's familiar. That reaction actually becomes excitement. The brain doesn't send that signal that's going to tense and tighten up the arm. So there are ways in which it can be done at home, absolutely, and that is possibly the best example of that.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Right, we're going to have to leave it there because I've taken too much of your time already. I could talk to you all day. Hopefully we'll get you back at some point when you've got some free time and get you a part 2, because I can listen to this sort of stuff all day. Absolutely brilliant. Just before I let you go, where can people find you? You've mentioned YouTube, but just give us your handles for everywhere, so everyone can follow you. Where are you at? Where can people find you?
Pretty much everywhere nowadays, actually. So got Edgar TV over on YouTube, Matthew Edgar 170 on TikTok. Ironically, it's 1 because it's my name, and 2 because I used a 170 to beat Gary Anderson at the Super Series a few years ago.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mentioned it a few times though. Twitter at the Edgar 501. I'm not sure what my Instagram one is. I'm not really on it that often, but I've got one, so I'm on there somewhere. And then you'll probably find me around a dartboard somewhere around the UK, because I'm pretty much everywhere at the minute. Everywhere but Daventry, where I'm supposed to be.
Brilliant, perfect. What I'll do is I'll tag your social medias down below in the comments down below, so everyone can see that. If I'm sure that everyone's watching this already knows who you are and is already following. But if you're not, make sure you go and follow Mr. Edgar. Unbelievable content. You've seen what sort of knowledge the man can give you just from this short episode. So a full YouTube channel dedicated to all this sort of stuff. So thanks for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this at home. It's been great. Like I said, I could talk to you all day about this sort of stuff. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you later.